Unnecessary intro song to totally waste your time. AI is dead. Is dead. All right? This isn't a big declaration to the world. I'm not trying to break any new ground here. I'm just telling the truth. AI is dead. It has never been alive. It will never be alive. Unless electricity is life. Is electricity life? I don't know. Are molecules just sitting there life? Is a stone life? Is a rock alive? I don't know. That's a different debate. But I keep getting these people, everywhere you look, you see the phrase AI generated. AI did this. Somebody sent me a link today, an otherwise smart person, a lawyer, sent me a link to something that said, AI just solved mathematics. It just pushed mathematics it created new mathematics. You know? I read that and that's like a headline that says, a hammer builds a house. Saw builds house. You know, a hammer doesn't build a house. Guns shoot someone. Guns don't shoot people. People shoot people. You know, these are tools. They're dead. You know, AI did not create new mathematics, no more than a calculator or a chalkboard creates new mathematics. Human beings who want a thing use tools to get a thing. They impose their will upon the tool. They use their tool to extract their will, to help them see what they want to see. You know, first of all, I don't know when I see a headline like this, I think one of two things. This person is either stupid or they're lying or they're deceptive. And they want me to believe that AI is doing something. You know, they want me to believe that AI is magic, that they're, and either they want me to believe that because they want to stop AI, because it competes with them or something, it competes with their view of the world, or they want me to, give up my rights or sign legislation to control it and to do all these other things. Like AI did this. It's like the same thing that people do with guns. We need gun control. Well, you're not controlling guns. You're controlling people. You know? People that make these big statements like that, again, a lot of them are stupid. Okay? A lot of people just are stupid. I'm stupid. So, don't be offended. I'm very stupid. But I'm not so stupid that I think that tools are alive. Except for maybe a horse. A horse is a tool. A dog can be a tool. But they're not alive. Your tractor isn't alive. Your car isn't alive. It's fun to give them little names. Your lamp isn't alive. It's a wonderful thing. It gives you light when you turn it on. Through the miracle of physics and harnessing them, nature has given us so many wonderful things, and human beings have been able to use the laws of physics that predate us and are unbreakable to do amazing things, But it's the human beings. You don't need to worry about AI. You need to worry about humans and what they will do with it. Just like you don't need to worry about a gun. A gun resting on a table poses no threat to anybody. It's only when somebody who wants to cause harm to somebody picks it up and starts waving it around. That's the only time it's dangerous. So it's just a person. It's the person you need to keep your eye on. And when people start shifting the attention away from the person and onto the tool, they're either stupid or they're up to no good. Okay? And I'm just seeing too many people that are up to no good. Two artists that I follow on X, both that I like, One guy made a big song at the beginning of COVID, he took art and said, no, we're going to protest and blah, blah, blah. And another guy is super political. He plays a piano. And, I like him. I even bought the guy's vinyl just to support him. White vinyl, he sent it. But now it's just endless complaining about AI. AI can't do this. AI can't do that. AI can't do this. AI can't do that. Let me tell you something, dude. AI can't do anything. It's a tool. A guitar does nothing. Hand a guitar to a moron. Boom. What are you going to get? Depending on how long you wait, you might get a good song. I don't know. You're not likely to get something good. You can hand a great tool to somebody who doesn't know how to use it, and you're going to get crap. Okay? AI is just the tool. But these guys are talking in this language like AI can't or won't do this, as if it's some sort of living thing. It's not a living thing. It's an amazing tool. And just these arguments of people saying, you can't use AI, you shouldn't use AI. This is another thing that's interesting is it goes to show you how much influence people can have, and artists still have influence. Because I'm often shocked when I see an artist make a statement about XYZ or whatever, and he's essentially talking about the craft of making art, Art isn't XYZ. Art is XYZ. That's not art. This is art. All this. And art is bullshit anyway, because anything that you think is art is art. That's the whole thing about art. There's no accountability at all. Zero. It's the wonderful place for people who don't want to suffer any consequences for anything. The best place to go is into the humanities, academics, or art. Same thing, no consequences. I've used it a million times. A plumber, there's consequences. Transmission repairman, consequences. Rocket builder, consequences. Bridge builder, consequences. Building a dam, consequences. Art, no consequences. Intellectualism, no consequences. Or without plausible deniability, anyway. You can sing a song about killing yourself, but when somebody actually does kill themselves, you go, it's just art, man. It's just art. Anyway, these boneheads are all out there complaining about this and that, and really it's just, they really just don't want you to be able to use tools. That's really what it is. When people complain about the tool being dangerous, it's that they don't want you using it because who cares what reason? It makes them sad. They're worried about being put out of a job. One of the guys' posts was, people just don't appreciate hard work anymore. The first thing I just think is a bunch of miners stuck in a coal mine. As if somehow that's something we should yearn for. We need children back in the mines. That'll teach them. I literally heard people saying stuff like that. And it's easy to get sucked into a conversation about that because, at what point does convenience turn into sloth and out of shape and whatever? And, hard times make good men make hard time, good times, and then good times make weak men. That cycle, once things get too convenient or too easy, I don't know, something happens, a ripple in the universe happens and things start to suck for a while before they get better. What? Waves? Ebbs and flows? Anyway, but I hear people complaining about it. And for instance, this guy, he made his out hard work. And I get so frustrated with people that talk about, the hard work of art. Really hard? Is it hard? Being a coal miner is hard, okay? Working the oil fields, that's hard. Cleaning out a sewer system, that's hard. Making art is not hard. It's not hard. It's easy. It's fun. It can be frustrating, like a good game of golf. Is golf hard? No. I'm sorry. Hard is something you don't want to do. That's what's hard. That's what's difficult. Having to do something you don't want to do, but you do it anyway because you have to, because you got to eat. You know, that's not art. Suffering. This man suffered for his art. Yeah, he suffered. He suffered because he was manipulating you, okay? He was showing you his suffering because he wanted you to feel sorry for him, or I don't know what the fuck. I do art every day, and I'm so embarrassed by. There's nothing to be proud about when you're making art every day. You know, there's not. It's what do you call it? Self-indulgent. It's self-indulgence. You know, I'm still doing it. I still enjoy doing it. You know, people have sex every day. They eat food every day. There's a lot of things I do every day because they're enjoyable. I feed the pigeons every day. I water the plants every day. I pet my dog every day. I tell my dog she's my best friend every day because I love it. It's enjoyable. It's not hard. It's wonderful. It's amazing. This piano player guy that's always complaining about AI on the internet, he only plays ragtime music, and well, that's what he's focused on. He's actually made stuff in the past that wasn't ragtime, and he's constantly whining and complaining about how he's shadow banned, and he's not getting the attention he wants, and he's not as famous, and he's projecting like he feels so entitled to being famous and whatever because he's suffered for his art, and he says the things that he wants to say. And you know what? I'm on his team when it comes to that shit. Don't get banned. He does, air quotes, speak truth to power, and he does suffer the consequences of it. But when if you're going to go out and fight as a soldier, you got to fight and you got to be glad about it. You can't do it and then, what? You guys didn't thank me? I shot 50 men in the face. Where's my parade? If you're doing this for a parade, then fuck off. Okay? Don't assume that I'm going to throw a fucking parade for you, you know? And don't assume that what you make I'm going to like. You're not entitled to my praise or my respect. You know, I've tried to interact with this guy. You know, he's only making ragtime and he's just complaining. I'm like, dude, you're making ragtime music only and complaining that nobody likes it. It's super political, very narrow. It's almost everything is against the Jews and against the government and, you know, the left wing, which is great. Fantastic. High five. But pretending to be shocked, like, why? It's just like you're speaking to a very, very narrow group of people. You couldn't be more narrow. I only make ragtime music specifically targeted at Jews. Why am I not popular? It's like, I mean, that's the other thing when you're dealing with artists. You're dealing with insane people. That's it. If you think about it, his name is Foundering. You can go find him on X. And why? No, you don't. Nobody appreciates it. I'm giving up. And it's like this constant need for, and I've imbibed him in this stuff, trying to cheer him up. And, you know, he'll say stuff like, these stupid 4-chord songs. I'm like, yeah, well, most of the good songs are 4 chords. And, you know, Beethoven, you know, just these big statements, these big gatekeepy, judgmental, everything I don't do sucks. You know, I honestly don't understand that point of view. I can relate maybe a little bit because when I was younger, I spent more time shit-talking things I didn't like. You know, when I was insecure and needing to bolster my position, you think that you've got to shit on everything else. Like in high school, I'm a new waver. I'm a breakdancer. I don't like Journey. Journey sucks. You know, how many times did I tell people that the things that they liked sucked? And I literally thought that, you know. I don't know what was going on, probably tribal shit or whatever, who knows. But it's insecurity. It's just insecurity, you know. Journey's a fine band, okay? People that like Nickelback are fine. People that like Coldplay are fine. You're not better. I had to send this is why I don't have any friends. My comedian friend, former friend, I guess, whatever, Will Franken, really smart guy. But he's another one of these artists that, it's not his fault. It's not his fault that he's not popular and famous. It's not his fault that he's narrow and he's constantly criticizing everybody around him, constantly taking pot shots. I mean, I relate with this because I'm like that, you know? Back when I had clients as artists, I resented them so much that I would mock them in the art that they were paying me to make, you know? It's amazing they kept asking for more. I had to say, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. People like to be abused, I guess, but just this, when you're creating a very narrow point of view, and you're specifically being narrow, and then you criticize anything that's broad, anything that's general that it might apply to a large audience is somehow a sellout, something, and then to do that, and then to pretend to be suffering. I'm suffering. I have no choice. I only can make this narrow thing. And it's like, and they brag about all the tools they're not using. You know, I don't use synthesizers. I don't use samplers. Oh, that's fantastic. Great. I built this whole house without using a single nail. Okay, remind me not to come over for dinner. You know? I did this. I built this all with my own hands. Look, I get it. That's great. That's fantastic. I'm impressed by people that can do things with few tools. And sometimes I think that no tool is a better option than a power tool. But for the guy that's using the power tool and he's figured out how to use it, you know, there's a million videos of watching somebody use a power tool and you go, whoa, look at that guy carved a fucking bear out of a stump with a chainsaw. Yeah, if it was a real man, he would have used a chisel and a hammer. Oh yeah? If he was a real man, he would have used his fingernail and his teeth, fucker. A beaver, okay? Like a beaver. I don't know. People are they're so full of shit. And AI is by the way, even the term AI is such a broad term. It covers so many different things. It's almost like saying electricity at this point, you know? Electricity's bad. And you know, these people existed, by the way. I don't know, but I can imagine back when electricity was just coming around, how many of these people, these fuckers were going, electricity can't do this. Well, electricity can't do that. I made this whole thing with no electricity. Fantastic. That's great. Electric guitar, that's not real music. Okay, great. Whatever you say, champ. I'm going to keep using it. I'm going to keep using it as a tool because you know what? You know what's so much better about a tool? This tool that you're complaining about? My synthesizer doesn't argue with me, and it doesn't look at me, and it doesn't say shit like, you can't do that. Do these people know how fucking annoying they are? I mean, I know how fucking annoying I am. I'm being annoying right now. I've spent a whole life being annoying. But a little bit of self-realization, you know? I know I'm redundant on this thing, but we're merely assembling things. That's what we do. The humility we need to realize is all the laws of nature are here. Whatever created them long before you and I existed. We got here, the plants are here, the earth is here, the gravity, the air, the water. Everything we need to build whatever we want to build is here. All we got to do is reassemble it We squish some things around. We put this over here. We take this frequency and put it here. We take this note and put it here. We take this word, this idea, this thought, this concept, this piece of energy, and we put it here, and we reorganize it into these wonderful little packages we call houses and toilets and songs and guitars and transmissions and buildings and elevators and all kinds of wonderful things that we make by reorganizing all this stuff that nature just gave us, you know? And then we share it and sell it and use it to make other things and reorganize that, you know? And the whole time we're doing it, we're either creating joy in life or we're annoying the fuck out of people and getting joy from doing that, which is a real thing, honestly. Nothing that will put a bounce in your step quite like annoying the right people. I know that's dark, but it's totally true. You know, if you can annoy a certain group of people, you know you're doing something right. Annoy, joy. There's that thing about language too. The fun thing about writing lyrics and making art is that, you know, some people, rhyming is stupid. Okay, I get it. Everything's stupid. I don't like it when people repeat things in music. Okay, well, that's what music is. 1, 2, 3, 4. See that? That's intervals. Repeating. That's rhythm. Rhythm is a repetition. But anyway, with the rhyming, I found that so many rhymes are related. Like they're categories beyond just the fact that they sound the same. It's like the people have a sound, the sound exists, and then you add a consonant here or there to change this sound. Cry, die, why, lie, shy? You know, shy is the only one departure, but you know, there's these sounds, and it happens in other languages too. But anyway, for most of the time, we're not inventing words. Somebody does. You can invent one. I invented words when I was young. Hino, crino, mikanana. I had all these stupid little words. I was trying to introduce words into the human language when I was a kid. And one kid, Eddie Matua, he helped me. We both had these words, and we'd use these words, our own little secret language. And they never went beyond the two of us. I think one other kid kind of tried to get in on our fresh new word vibe. And we were like, oh, God, we don't want him using these words, you know. But yeah, we're using words and ideas, and like even when we use words, we're really using the words to describe emotions that were created by God or nature. Love, loneliness, sadness, longing, hope, joy, anger. These things all exist and they predate us. And we're just reorganizing shit. And whatever tools we use, AI, new calculator. You know, it's a new calculator. It's a new word progression. It's a new game that comes out. It's amazing. It's amazing that it can look at a file of recorded music, analyze it, and go, oh, this is how it's been described, and therefore I can pump out a song. It's mind blowing, the tools that people are creating. You know. With individual efforts and joint efforts, you know, I like to focus on the individuals because groups don't really, I mean, I was just going to say groups don't really do things, but if you've ever seen an Amish people get together and build a house in a day and then lift it up and move it, you know, there's a lot of power in a group. Harmonies, choirs. But here now I can get a choir on my computer. You know, I don't need to feed them. I don't need to argue with them. What was I saying? Individual efforts. It's like individuals. There is a thing, you know, Barack Obama got a lot of shit when he said, you didn't build that because it's the socialist cry. You know, it's a communist cry. You didn't do it. The community did it. Your individual effort, you didn't do it. And that's the delicate dance, because when Barack Obama's doing that, he's saying, you individual, you suck on all by yourself. Fuck your improvements. Fuck your effort. Fuck you for sticking your neck out. You didn't. Instead of just going, yes, you did. You did. You improved upon something that other people have improved upon, that people before them improved upon. We do stand on the shoulders of giants. That's a real thing. But that's not to say that the new thing that you do, the slight tweak, the slight improvement, the slight push forward isn't amazing and wonderful and fantastic, and, high fives all around. Total respect for those who make the improvements, who want to push it forward. High five to the guy, I don't know, I was arguing with a friend from high school, he's a flat earther, and he's going with the Bible. And, I like to gently, tease him when he says stuff like, one thing was, we haven't seen a curve on a body of water. And I was like, here's a picture of a droplet. A droplet is actually a sphere of water that I don't know how it's held together. Surface tension, all that other kind of shit. God made it. Somebody else can describe it and explain it, but yeah, some people just want to do away with all. They want to diminish all, what would you call it, accomplishments of human beings. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that, because I see the accomplishments of human beings not being in conflict with God, but being an obvious and automatic manifestation of God, of nature. That's what I see when I look through a microscope. That's what I see when I look at my plants and these amazing ways that they grow, with fractals and this mathematics that they've all figured out, these little formulas. And I just go, how amazing is it? It's just absolutely fantastic. Nothing that AI has made yet is as fantastic as a plant, or a dog, or a frog, or a log, or a scallywag. Or is that a scallywag? Nothing. It's not. It's pretty amazing. My phone's amazing. I'm holding it and recording into it. Pretty amazing. But is it a dog? It's not warm. I can't put just snacks into it. I plug a wire into it, but I can't just put a piece of a hot dog in my phone and have it turn it itself into electricity and thoughts and tail wagging and licking and cute little head nods. Life is still so much more amazing than tools and stuff like that. But that's not to diminish tools. That's just to say, look how high the bar is. The bar is so high that when human beings get even close to making something that seems like life, like the Turing test, the fact that a chat robot can seem human. By the way, we all thought the Turing test got passed a couple years ago with ChatGPT and all these other things. It hasn't been passed. It has not been passed, because briefly for a minute we thought, oh, wow, okay. But no, if you're using AI, if you're regularly talking to Grok or ChatGPT, you still realize how incredibly not human it is, to a maddening degree. It behaves in ways that humans simply wouldn't, because humans have this ability to know when they have pushed somebody to their breaking point, to anger. They can sense when you're tired of them. But ChatGPT cannot. It will just sit there and spit out. It's a word calculator. That's it. A word predictor. Doesn't matter. Blah, blah, blah. No shame, no accountability. It will just say stuff. and then it's trained to appease you and keep you on the line. Like I got in an argument with Grok earlier. It's just like, can you not end? I said, I always start with my things on ChatGPT. Whenever I ask a question, I have to say, do not opine, do not lecture, facts only. All I need is some data. Links would be nice. Then I ask the question. And usually I'll get something concise, but it just can't resist opining, you know? I asked it earlier because sometimes people do a screenshot of fucking wide format. They'll do a screenshot of their computer and upload it to X, like 10 sentences horizontally. And it's just like, I'm not going to scroll. Don't you understand that laptop screenshots don't work online, you fucking idiots? But anyway, one good thing is you copy paste into Grok. I said, copy paste this so I can read this on a black background. Okay, done. But then it has to give it a synopsis of what it is. This is dangerously leading into a possibility of stereotyping of, it's just like, fuck you. I don't need your fucking warnings, you stupid goddamn robot. That's the wonderful part about AI is that it will do it. The bad part of AI is that now your tools start to argue with you. That's not what I need from a hammer. Hey, hammer, I don't need your opinion. You sure? You sure you want to use a screw, buddy? You sure? Hey, I'm a hammer over here. Not sure, you're getting dangerously close to being anti-hammer by using your screw gun. And go fuck yourself, you little stupid hammer. But it's true. So AI can be annoying in that way because, again, I would just, if I were the king, I would make a simple rule and I would say, here's a rule in my kingdom. Tools are not allowed to pretend to be human. That's all. No tool is allowed to pretend to be human. Just like a man is not allowed to pretend to be a woman. This is that trans shit. Okay? No AI is not allowed to use first person singular. I. It cannot say that. It needs to be third person. Grok. Or ChatGPT. In fact, I might even say that the software must actually say who is behind it. Like Elon Musk owns Grok. Sam Altman, must refer to third person. How can Sam Altman help you today? I was asking Grok, I said, can Grok stop asking me questions? I want Grok to never ask me a question because Grok cannot pretend to be curious because Grok is not curious. Elon Musk is curious. Sam Altman is curious. Bill Gates is curious, but Grok isn't curious. A word predictor isn't curious. A calculator is not curious. Your computer is not curious. The people behind your computer are. Zuckerberg's curious. He wants to know what you're doing. He wants to know how many times a day you shit, where you go, what you eat, but the tools don't. That would be my law. No, you can't do it. You can't pretend to be alive. AI is dead. No tool is allowed to pretend to be alive. Robots aren't allowed to pretend to be alive. They can't say, I. They can't use the things we attribute to humanity. Because that, to me, is the danger. And that's what people are trying to do. That's what, I don't know if you remember, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, some guy at Google was convinced that AI had become conscious and, it went around as a meme and everybody was like, oh shit, here's where it's happening. It's all going to happen now. AI's alive, And immediately it seemed to be like a PR campaign, not against Google or not from a Google whistleblower, so to speak, but from Google itself putting that out, like a fake leak, in order to make you believe that they have this magical They have created life. That's what this link was today. They've created life, you know? AI solved, created new math. Just like the hammer built a new house. Just like that gun shot a person. Just like that saw cut off somebody's finger. You know? No, that's not what happened. Okay? It's not conscious. It doesn't do anything. It's a tool. And nefarious people will pretend that the tool, and even the critics of it especially, like these guys, these artists, you know? August, what's his name? 5 times August. Big fan of him in 2020. Now he's annoying. Totally annoying. Old man yelling at the crowd, hey, I can't do this. It's like, dude, you're just protecting your own fucking shit. And guess what? That's not why people will buy your album. People aren't going to buy your album because you're complaining about what they like. You too will. You know, Will Franken. People aren't going to like you more because you shit on what they like. And you criticize what they like. That was what his thing. I'm not going to satisfy the short attention span TikTok generation. I'm like, dude, are you really trying, as a humorist, as a comedian, are you trying to take a shit on the one-liner? Every comedian, every writer, every artist knows that the one-liner is the epitome of high art. When you can reduce a huge topic into a one-liner, that's when the whole that's standing ovations are deserved. So don't shit on this low attention span. People's attention spans are longer than they have ever been. I insist upon that. We see people binge watching entire 5-6 seasons of movies. You don't have a short attention span when you watch the whole Sopranos in one sitting. You know, peeing in a bottle next to your couch so you don't have to go to the bathroom, you know? 4-hour podcasts of, you know, wrestlers and, you know, MMA fighters talking to each other. People don't have short attention spans, you know? They just have more choices. And your corner on the market is eroding. It used to be that you could gatekeep. And I know that a lot of leftists use this term, but guess what? I kind of agree with them on this. You know, the gatekeepers are having a hard time keeping the gates, and they're getting pissed. And a lot of those artists are gatekeepers. I bought my equipment, but I did this, but I learned this. I spent all this time, and now you can do it without having to. You're skipping steps. Yeah, exactly. Just like how you don't ride a horse. You know, just like how you get in a car and you drive, you're skipping steps, literally skipping steps. You're no longer walking across the plains. You're flying in a jet, skipping steps. So don't fucking preach to me. Anyway, I'm an opinionated motherfucker, but I'll just leave you with this. Life is beautiful. There's never been a better time to be alive. Ever, ever, ever. And even if there were, that's a shitty way to think about things. If you're sitting around thinking that it was better back before, you're fucking wasting your life, okay? You're wasting your life not being grateful for the life you've been given now. I don't think at any point in history anyone would see the life the way it is right now and think, you know what? I don't want that. I think they all would want that. I think everybody would want to be alive now. It's a grand assumption. Assumptions are dumb. But I'm a dumb man. And I make grand, dumb assumptions. Thanks for listening. Unnecessary.